Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. 3, 2, 1, action. Hello, everybody. All right, so I'm going to start off with a number here, but here's what I want you to do. I'm going to play some songs, and I want you to guess what song setup I used for this song. All right? So I'll do that. I'm going to keep you muted. And don't unmute yourself while I'm playing, because if you do, it'll mess with the sound. All right? But I'm going to play a number here, so just see if you can guess what song setup I used. Now, you won't be able to see it, which is good. Let me get a little closer. I'm going to touch song setup. Let's see if you can see it. You see it right there? No? Good. That's the point, because then if you could see it, then you're cheating. I'm watching you. All right, here we go. Hit select, and I'm going to play some song, and you have to guess what song setup I used. Let's give this a Freedom 3 by Essie a big round of applause, everybody. I just love playing that model.
Well done, Robert.
Yeah.
Love your tie.
You like my tie? I was wondering if somebody was going to catch that. Believe it or not, I put a little thought in some of my tie selections.
Well, that is cute.
Okay, now let me make one adjustment on the lighting. It wasn't perfect, but it helped yesterday. You see my dry erase markers, and I have them somewhere around here. I know I have them around here somewhere. Okay, well, I got a black one here. Give me 1 minute. The ones I used yesterday were perfect. All right, well, I think this will work. So, I used the song. Now, I'm gonna take a hopefully a different approach on the song setup than what you've heard, because we've done a lot of classes since at least 19 sessions, I believe. This is the 19th weekly one. And amongst that, there's been all these other product feature classes. And in all of those, this feature is mentioned a lot. However, I'm going to hopefully try to, for most of you, what's that? Someone's shouting back there. What I'm going to hopefully do is approach it from a different angle today. All right? Now, I'm going to scroll through real quickly. Show of hands, like an actual hand, how many of you have the song setup feature? And keep your hands up. I'm going to scroll through the gallery. Carol Montgomery, raise your hand. You have it. I'm watching you. Okay, it looks like virtually everybody, all right? Now, if you do not have song setup, because there are some of the smaller models that do not, don't worry. Like the Discovery 3 doesn't have a song setup feature. The Easy 1 doesn't have a song setup feature. Joni, the Easy 2, does that have it? No. I don't think the Easy 2 does, but that's okay, because what I'm going to teach is still applicable, okay? So don't go anywhere if you don't have this feature. All right. So I'm going to write the word song setup. Now, first of all, does anybody know what song setup I used to play the songs that I played? Joanne, is it? Go ahead. You raised your hand. Joanne, what song setup do you think I used? It's asking you to mute yourself. Go ahead. I can't hear you. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, no. Maybe used a chat. I can't hear you. Click on mute. Do you have the microphone on? Uh-oh. I still can't hear it.
Robert, if you ask me, I have no idea. I didn't raise my hand.
Oh, okay. All right. So any guesses as to what song setup I used? Anybody can unmute and guess. All right. Well, let me ask you this, because we had that same thing. We had a lot of deer in the headlights look yesterday. I don't know. What songs did I play? Now, this you have to answer because I can't go any further. My notes say make them answer. You can unmute yourself, right? What songs did I play?
Tuxedo Junction.
Is that what I played, Joni? Oh, is that what that song is called?
And Night Train.
I've been playing that song for years. I never really knew the title. I just learned to do it eventually. You're right. Tuxedo Junction and Night Train. Now, I don't know if you could see that. This marker's not the greatest. Can you see that on there or no? I need a different color. Someone's
Yeah.
doing this. Let me look,
Yeah,
see if I got.
Yeah, it's running out of ink.
It was on mute, that was why.
Okay. I had
Now
a
can you
nice
hear me?
red one yesterday.
Robert, you have 2 questions as well.
Give me 1 minute, folks. I'm locating a dry red. I want to make sure if I do this, you could actually see what I'm writing up here.
This is Joanne. Can you hear me?
Okay, let me try a different color here.
You have 2 questions as
Joni,
well,
that's
Robert.
Joni, is the teacher.
Okay, so I'm going to write, see if you could see this.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
All right,
It's a
I'm
horrible
going to
teacher.
write. Is that a little better?
Yeah, that was muted, that was why.
Is that a little better?
I don't want to get on as a participant. I just want to watch it.
No?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's better.
All right. All right, then what I was trying to do is at least show different
They know that I'm
colors.
on because my name is there.
Hold on a second, I hear people talking. I'm going to mute you all again. All right, so when you mute yourself, just make sure to mute it back when you're, okay. So the songs that I used, played was Tuxedo Junction and Night Train. All right. Now the question I had was, what song setup do you think I used to play? Yes. Anybody know? Well, let me write it down for you. This is the actual song setup that I used. When the Saints Go Marching In. Now, can you see that? Can you see that black lettering there? Is that okay? Good enough? Yeah. So I use song setup. When the Saints go marching in. I have someone that keeps chiming in there. You have a question? Okay. So I use song setup to When the Saints Go Marching In, and I play Tuxedo Junction and Night Train. Here's the point of this. There are song setups in most models. And if you don't have a song setup, you at least have a song feature, either built-in or USB, okay? What happens, this happens all the time. The Freedom 3, for example, has, Joni, do you know how many the Freedom 3 has? 50 song setups or 100? I think it's 100. It's 100. I'm reading her lips. It says 100, I think, right? Okay, she's nodding. The Easy 10, the Easy 4, I believe they have 100. The Fanfare has 300, you know, and give or take, it's all across the board. The Stardust, the Royales have 500, 600. There's a lot of song setups. But what happens is when you're doing a song setup, here's the reason, here's why people use song setup. Ideal scenario number one. You open up a songbook, right? And we go, I wonder how I could set the organ up for this song, because you choose a song that you want to play. You scroll through the song setup list, and we look for it. Now, we get lucky. Sometimes it's in that list, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's not in that list, right? And then what do? You pick up the phone, and you call Joni. You call Don. You say, I don't know what to do. Yeah. Ramon, yeah. I don't know. Just Don, what do you do? All right. And that's the two common things we do with the song setup. Now, there's another way. There's another thing that people do with the song setup. I do this all the time. You open up the list, and let me pull up, let me show you as an example. I just happen to have an owner's manual of a marquee, okay? In your owner's manual or in the organ, you have a list of song setups. Now, some of the manuals, by the way, if you have a digital manual and a PDF, it allows you to click on it and go to it. Now, let's see. There's a song setup in here. There's also another cool thing you can do. You can actually type in the word song setup and search for it, and it'll actually highlight everything it has to do with song setup. So I'm going to fall right in here. It says, oh, there's a lot of setup. There we go, song setup. Let me click and see what happens. Is that the list? Oh, that just tells you how to do it. Let me see if I can go back to song setup here and find the list. I believe the song setup list is in the back of the book somewhere.
You are correct.
Is it? Oh, there it
Yes.
is. Look at that. I'll just click on this. If you have a manual like I think Patriot manuals, Marquee, Rialto, some of these manuals on PDF allow you to just click to it. Now here's a list. You know, you have some of these. Now obviously there's a lot of song setups, but what a lot of people do is they'll go through and they'll go, I wonder what song setups there are. And they go, oh, I like that one, I like that one. And then what'll happen is someone will come to a song setup and they go, I don't really like that song. And what they do is they don't choose it. They decide not to choose it. Here's where you're missing out. I say, find a song setup you normally don't use, or even more interesting, don't like. Okay?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a song you may not particularly like. Now here's an example. Let's see. I don't know if there's any song that I really just don't like, but let me just find. Actually, I have an Inspire over here, so I'm going to just hit Song Setup, and I'm going to scroll through, and I'm going to find a song setup. Now, this song I actually like, but I normally don't play it. All right, let me put on, Where did it go? There it is. Now I'm going to press it, and I'm going to play a few notes here. And listen. Now, the song setup that came up that I just played, that was the song Anytime. The song setup was Let It Snow. So what happens is you see that Let It Snow, if it's not the right time of the year, some people go, well, I'm not going to use that right now. But that was actually a country rhythm. It gave me a country swing with some really nice combination on the top and a real nice harmony on the top and a trombone on the bottom. Here's another one for you. Show of hands. How many of you love playing the song Mary Ann? Come on. Come on. I'm trying to even force you to put your hand up. We got one hand. Oh, we got some thumbs down. Oh. Nobody's raising their hand. Okay, Lee. All right, there we go. You know what happens most of the time? Typically, newer students love playing that song. Why? It's an easy song. If you're not playing, if you're just learning to play, you don't want to pick a song like Anytime where there's A7s and D7s. You need to find a song that your fingers can play so you get comfortable with the keyboards. That's why it's a great song. But after so many times, what happens is it gets kind of, just not as appealing anymore because it's a very basic song. C, G, C, G. That's it. But check this out. I'm going to put on song setup, and I'm going to find Mary Ann. Oh, I forgot my alphabet. A, B, M. Here we go. All right. Now I want you to listen to the introduction. And this is the song. Now, that's the song Mary Ann, that's the song setup. But let's have a little fun with this. When I selected that song setup, it came up with a style called Latin guitar. Well, I could play something like this. So what happens is, based on the response that I saw, when I asked how many of you love playing the song Mary Ann, more than likely what most students do is they will avoid the song Mary Ann. They'll stay away from it because it's not a song I'm going to play. But here's what happens. If you have an instrument that has 100 song setups, 200, 500, there's some that have 700, and I forget how many in the marquee and the aria, but there's lots and lots and lots of song setups. PAs typically tell students, you may never use all of those song setups because it may be a song that you're not appealed to using. You may say, I don't want to play that song. I say, find a song setup that you normally won't use, or even a song title that I don't really care for that song, because what'll happen is you'll find a song for it. Here's Marianne. You heard it on there. What style was it? Latin guitar? Now check this out. I did this yesterday, and I was really surprised at what came up. Song setup, Marianne. And listen to the style that comes up with it. Anybody know what style that is? Some people were on yesterday, so you know the answer.
Parrot Buffet.
Parrot Buffet. And we had a big debate yesterday when I played the song setup on the Easy 10 over here. I played a little bit of Marianne, but I played two other songs with it. The two songs I played, by the way, were Lady of Spain and what was the second one I did? I know what you're thinking, Ramon. Yellowbird. Good answer. I can tell what you're thinking. So I played Lady of Spain and Yellowbird with the song setup, Marianne. Over here, I put on Marianne, and it gives us a style called Parrot Buffet, which obviously would be great for Margaritaville, but Marianne, or check this out. I don't know if this is going to be good or not, but if it is, this might be interesting. Here we go. Now, does anybody know what that song was? Obviously, many people, it's Besame Mucho, right? Do you know what style I used for that one? You ready for this? Parrot Buffet. Now, I see some looks, huh? Didn't he just use Parrot? That didn't sound like Parrot Buffet, did it? Here it is, Parrot Buffet. Whoops. Parrot Buffet. Totally different. So if you want to take it a step further, not only can you use a song setup you would never use because it's a song that you probably don't play or enjoy playing, but if you use it, you could play other songs with it. But then when you do the minor chord, that's all I did, is I turned on the minor chord with that same style. Same thing on the other models. Here's Marianne, song setup with the Latin guitar. You do the minor chord and let's go on to the Esty Freedom. Well, someone said, well, how about my Esty? Will it do the same thing? Well, let's see. Let me put on song setup. Actually, I had When the Saints here earlier. Let's see what happens. Here's the song setup for When the Saints. Okay. Now let me play a minor chord and see what happens. Totally different, totally different. Now, before I go on to my second topic today, we have some questions. I see a couple hands raised.
What rhythm style was that?
On which one?
When the Saints.
The last one I just did?
Yes.
This is the Freedom 3, and it says, hold on, let me pull it back up. Song setup, select. It says swing time. So it's a big band style.
Okay.
And it came up at a tempo of 117. Now, obviously, if you put a song setup on for certain songs and you want to try another song, you might have to adjust the tempo. But what happens is when you hear those, you can think of so many other songs to play with them. All right. iPad Terry, you have your hand up. Do you have a question? I put ask to unmute.
Unmute. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't have a question.
Okay.
I have a question.
All right. Inez?
Yeah, Robert. So when you're playing from a regular chord to a minor chord, do you actually change the chord? Let's say you're playing a C chord. Do you go to a G minor chord to change the whole style?
The trick is to do it before you play the introduction. That's it.
Okay, but you're not playing the same chord. You're playing like
Some people do. Some people do.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
the easiest way to do it. In one of our classes, we talked about a method called what's called a relative minor. But to keep things simple, if your song starts off in C,
Uh-huh.
and you're normally using a C chord and you want to just change it, just do a C minor.
C minor. Okay. Thanks.
Okay? So that's the easiest way to do it. If the song starts off with an F, maybe do an F minor, and et cetera. The key is that if you do it in a minor chord, it's going to be a totally different introduction than if you just hit a one-finger chord or a major chord, as some of you know it. We have a, looks like Cecilia, does it? You have a question? Ask you to unmute yourself.
So this one, it's just a variation. It's
No?
Hello? Can you hear
Yes?
me?
Yep.
What is the minor that you touch to change the notes? You just
Okay.
talked about something about changing, and if it starts with a C, change it to a.
Okay. So,
What do you touch? I thought it was a button that said minor of some kind. But
well,
it
there are some organs that actually have the ability to put a minor chord on the touch bar, but what you want to do is actually do it with your fingers. Is the fastest way. So here's the best way. Here's the best way to explain that. Since minor chord is a common one to change the minor chord is a common one that changes the introduction. So here's what you got to remember, and I'm saying this because there's 95 people on here. There's got to be someone on here, some of you that are newer to this, and you're probably going, what's a minor chord? All right? A minor chord is basically requires two notes. And if you want to learn the minor chord, a C minor is the most common one, or an F in this example. You take the note that you're going to normally would play and add three notes up. So a C minor would be C and an E flat together. And if that's all you know that to be able to play your songs, that's fine. Okay? For you beginners out there, it's just good to know a couple of minor chords for this example of using different introductions and endings. Okay? That's really all I'm saying is. So a C minor is C and an E flat. And most of the organs have it in the window. All right? An F minor is F and an A flat. So if I'm a brand new student, I'm going, I don't know how to play minors. I'm just learning out of my beginner. I'm just learning Mary Ann. Okay? That's okay. Most of the songs are in C. So if all you know is a C and an E flat, we'll come back over here. If I just know how to do those two at least once, then I can go about my business and play the rest of the song as it is. And then you continue your song. All right. So that's part one today, folks. I told you I was going to give you two things. What I wanted to do is two things that we've mentioned in all of our classes. Sometimes we spend a little more time in others and on topics. Two things that I think will hopefully you use more because, like I said, on the song setups, I have a lot of people that say, boy, I use every song setup there is I can know in there, but there's some that I just avoid. hopefully now you'll go back and you'll look at some song titles. You'd be surprised. The one that you think, I hate this song, that'll probably be the one that sets it up that you'll love, and just play a different song. But there's another thing, and what that does, by the way, is it just allows you to get different setups that you normally won't use. Different setups that make you sound better. These features are designed to make you sound better, not just play better. If you sound better, you play it more. If you play it more, you get better anyway. Okay? So I like talking about the features that it's going to make you, regardless of your skill level, if you're a really good player, I want to make you sound even better than what you can do. If you're a brand new student, I want you to make you sound good using the new features. So song setup was designed for that purpose. So you sit down, you touch a button, you're automatically set up ready to go without having to figure out, pick up on the phone, to calling your instructors and saying, hey, listen, I don't know how to set up for this song. It takes all the guesswork. Now, before I go on, and this is very important, if you do not have a song setup feature, but just the song feature, it works the same way. Okay? If you have both, it works perfectly. So here's what you do, and then I'm going to go on to the next topic. You find a song in your list, whether it's on your USB or built in, and I have a song title here, Love Me Tender as an example, and I think that's the one I used yesterday. And then I play the song, and I'm going to let it play for a few measures. Okay, now it's playing the song on its own. That's pretty. Let me stop it right there. What I'm going to do, and I've mentioned this in some of the previous classes, is you can take that song that was playing, I let it play for a little bit. You don't have to wait that long either, by the way. And now what I do, and this is the important part, turn off the song feature and then play whatever song you want. So that is another thing. So a lot of you have USBs, discs, whatever the case is, that play music, recordings. You can find a recording, play it for, let it start, press stop, and then take that setup and play whatever song you want. But here's another magical feature that you can use, everyone can use, that instantly makes you sound like a professional. Okay? Now, think about a big band. We mentioned big band orchestras. There's a lot of musicians in a big band. Sometimes 10, 12, more. There's a lot of them. Now think about Glenn Miller. Does anybody know what instrument Glenn Miller played, by the way? Any guesses?
Trombone.
Trombone.
Was it trombone?
Yes.
Sure it wasn't saxophone? Clarinet? Do I have you second guessing yourself? No, it was a trombone. But as I asked that question, I was looking at everybody on the screen and they're going, a lot of people don't know Glenn Miller, the trombonist. Is that right? Is that how you say that? Because he had an orchestra. Now you imagine if Glenn Miller, all he was a trombone and he played all those songs, he probably wouldn't be where, his music wouldn't be here today. It was all those musicians. Well, the same thing applies to the instruments. When we play, most of us play with one finger. I got to keep angling my camera here. One finger at a time. Even if you're a little more skilled at playing, we typically play one finger at a time. Now, there are some people out there that eventually learn to play 2 notes at a time and 3 notes, but on occasion, depending on how fast or slow the song is. I watched Joni played, I think it was a Broadway number, and she was doing some song with her hands, and she was doing 3 notes for every melody. Like, Takes a lot of years of hard work to do that. But what that does, it gives you these full, rich sounds. There's a feature that you all have called harmony. Some people avoid it, some people don't. I'm going to give you a couple basic tips on harmony, because I think harmony is one of your best features you could have on an instrument that's going to make you sound amazing. In fact, I'll tell some people, if you use Harmony X, it's like having 10, 15 years of experience in a button, just like that. Or you could work at it for 15 years straight and learn to do this. So I'm going to put up a feature, and I'll put it up on the screen. Some of you are familiar with the harmony called AOC. Some of you are familiar with a feature called Duet, 3-part, 4-part. And let me just pull up the owner's manual here again. And some of you have 3 harmonies, 4 harmonies, 1 harmony. Let me go to the home feature here, and I'm going to type in harmony. Oh, there it is, page 27. All right. So, Jerry, can you see that on your screen? Jerry Cooper? Okay, I just want to make sure I only see a few of you when I do this, so I want to make sure everybody gets to see what I'm seeing. So this instrument obviously has 15, but most models have AOC and Duet, or one or the other. A lot of models have 3 of these, 4 of these, and some have 7 of them, and some have all of them. The point is that whatever you have, I'm going to encourage you to use because they do things for you while you're playing one finger that normally can't be done if you're playing a song, even if you got really good at playing your melodies. Here's an example. In this example here that they use, the AOC harmony, when the person is playing just a simple 1-note C chord, and they're playing a G note, it's doing all the extra notes for you below it. In this example, it shows an octave as an example. It'll actually play octave apart. Now, I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to show you another example here that is going to be very helpful. Now, this I will actually, let me put it up on the screen, and then I'll put it in the chat. And if I forget to do it, let me know. Okay. Can you see that there, Inez? Jerry? Okay. Now, pay very close attention. Let's stay on just the top line here, okay? AOC. This example. Now, here's the beauty of this. What I'm showing you, you don't have to remember. This is just me explaining what it's doing for you, okay? Here's an example. In this example here, the way these notes are, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a thing called markup, and I'm going to put a little circle. Whoops. I don't want that. Okay. I'm going to circle just that little C note there. Woo! Okay, I'm having fun with my own little technology. Okay, so you see the little C note there? I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste that. Oops. Sorry. Okay, see that little E note there? I'll just do the first 2 examples. So in this example, when you play a song, in this example, CE, that top note is the melody. What AOC is doing is it's adding the next 2 notes down for you automatically. It's doing all of that for you. You don't have to learn that. It does it automatically. Look at Duet. This is the melody note. It adds the second note for you. Here's the example. Okay? Etc. Now, the question that I typically get is, why are the notes always added below? All right? So, let me come back over to an instrument and show you. Without unplugging myself. I'm going to put on a song, a simple song, and we'll put on a nice, we'll just put on a traditional organ sound. Okay, let me see here. Okay, just a basic organ sound for the purpose of the exercise. What harmonies do is when you play the one note, depending on the harmony, if it's a two-part harmony, it plays two notes. If it's an AOC, it's three. If you have one that says four-part, it obviously plays four. There's a five-part, it plays five. And they're all, and what happens is the additional notes play in different positions. Okay, so if I play this song, Spanish Eyes, with one note, this is what you get. Okay, that's not bad, but wouldn't it be nicer if you could do this? Let me get a little closer here. It's a lot fuller and richer. But this is the tricky part here. Oops. I don't even know if I'm doing that right. That's tough. Now, in all my years of doing this, that's as far as I got on that song, demonstrating that, because that's not easy to do. So what AOC will do is it'll do this with one note. Duet harmony. What's nice about duet is if you have a song where you're playing lower on the keyboard here, if you're using sounds like harmonies like AOC, three-part, four-part, they tend to get what we call muddy. Now that probably didn't sound good over the internet there. So what I'm going to put on duet, and watch what happens. Because there's only two notes playing, it allows you to play a little lower on the register, on the keyboard. But what happens is, it takes the note that you're playing, and it adds notes for you, while you just press one note. Now here's what happens. Here is me doing it manually, with the melody on top. Now here's what happens if it doesn't do it, the melody is not on the top, you tend to lose the melody. So the answer to the question most people have is, why does the harmonies play the notes below it? Is because the melody's on the top and the harmonies on the bottom, you always tend to hear the melody that way. Now, I'll do one more example, and then I'll open up for some questions. This one's kind of an interesting one. Some of you have a harmony called AOC open, or it may be listed as three-part, okay, just depending on the model you have. And they're really the same, all right? And here's what it means. Some of these harmonies are designed because, let's face it, we have 5 fingers, we can only do so much with our fingers, but some of these harmonies are also designed that unless you have a very long hand, they're almost impossible to do. Here is the position of what an AOC does with one hand, okay? So if I play my G note, if I play the E, it would do this. Notice the notes are close to each other. Okay? So if I was playing AOC, that note there, these 3 notes would be played. If I do an open, watch what happens. I'm going to show it to you manually. The middle note comes out and gets put down here to like this. This is really awkward. Bending over in an angle so you guys could see this, and then stretching my finger an octave and 3 notes. It doesn't feel very good. Now, if you can do that, that's great, because then you have to play the song. I can't do it. It's too hard to do. So what Harmony AOC, let me put on the easy button here. All right. And I'm going to put on that organ sound. And here's the AOC, listen. Now here is the open. So it's this or this. AOC, open. Now here's the great part. If you want to experiment with harmonies, because I tell a lot of students, experiment with them. A lot of the times the presets set them up for you, and that's great. It's always good to pay attention to what they set up, okay? But if you want to experiment and know that you're going to have some luck with these harmonies, there's nothing worse than having a sound on, putting in a harmony, and it makes it worse. I'll give you an example. Personal preference, maybe your ears can tolerate it, but if you use a banjo sound and you put on a 4-part harmony, that may not sound too good. Okay? It may sound a bit harsh because the banjo sounds is a guitar type sound, and you're having a 4-part harmony on top of it, it tends to give you a harsh sound. But if you want to experiment with some of the harmonies, best way to get started, use your organ sounds and the string sounds. And the string sounds is always great, always a great way to go with anything. So for example, if you have a piano on and you have some strings on and you add a harmony, those strings will fill in nicely. If you have an organ sound with some strings on and you put on a harmony, it fills in nicely. You can almost never go wrong with an organ or string. Listen. Here's all the harmonies. I'm going through some of them. Here's with the strings. Let's put on a piano with strings with a harmony. So if you want to have some fun experimenting with harmonies, try organ sounds and strings for starters. And then just experiment however you like. Your ears will tell you what you like. And before I go any further, I promise to send you, let me save this file here. I promise to, in the chat, let's see if I could do this right, to everyone. I'm going to attach a file from my computer, and I'm going to attach that file that Sean gave me. Oops, I didn't save it yet. Sorry. Bear with me. Export. Actually, I'm going to take off these circles first so you have it clean. Export. Bear with me, folks. I'm going to want to get this to you, some of you at least today. then that way you can, here we go. All right, let's see how fast that goes through. So in your chat, I just attached a copy of that harmony. It has some examples, and all it's telling you is, if you use those harmony examples, you're playing the top note, what the extra notes are doing. That's all it is. You don't have to go try to play those notes. Okay? So that should come over any second now. But while it's doing that, do we have any questions before I play my final song and give a couple announcements? Inez? You got to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I did. Okay. Sometimes it's frustrating when you have a song that's not in your song setup to find a style. Will you ever do a class on that?
That is a great class idea.
Yeah, that's my frustration.
I'm going to take you up on that offer.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll do it or have somebody do it, because I've seen a lot of staff members teach a class just on that. That's kind of a different song setup class. There's a lot of things with song setups that people don't realize.
Right.
There are some other little workarounds and some things like years ago, before song setup even was introduced. This was a long time ago on some of the models. I forget what staff member it was, but he said, you know, if you're having a little trouble trying to, because I was 21 when I started. I was new to big band, ragtime, you name it, 5 Foot 2 Eyes of Blue, all these songs. They're just, and he said, sometimes what you can do is if you look at the song and the copyright, like I think 5 Foot 2 was the example, and it was like 1930 something. He says, what styles of music were popular around that time, and you can sometimes pick a style that would work for that song based on that. The trick with that is sometimes songs get bought, their copyrights, and they get reprinted. So a song written in the 30s may be copyrighted in the 70s. You can't go based on that method. But there's a lot of little fun little tricks, but I'm going to have to remember that. Then I'm going to ask one of the staff members. That's a whole class in itself.
Yeah, I know.
All right, good question. Carolyn? Carolyn, you have a question? It's asking you to unmute yourself. Any questions about anything I did today?
Oh, it's good.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
there
right.
you are. You have a question?
All right. Yes, regarding the experimentation regarding the harmonies, did you have a rhythm on? Music style?
Yes. The answer is yes, and the answer is no.
Okay.
And I say that because I actually did it two different ways. One way I just had it off, just so you could hear. And then I played a little bit with Spanish eyes. That was with a rhythm. So you can do it either way. It just depends on the song. You know, sometimes I'm playing a hymn where I don't have any background at all and I want it just nice and pure. Well, I'll use a harmony with that. Sometimes I use I use a rhythm and I try a harmony with it. Sometimes I'll put on a brass sound and some strings and put on there is no rhyme or reason to, do you use a rhythm or no rhythm? It doesn't matter. But when I was showing you, I did it both ways.
Thank you.
Okay? You're welcome. Any other questions? All right. So, I hope you enjoyed the class today. And I hope you learned some stuff today, maybe a little bit differently than you normally would on song setups and harmonies. I'm going to finish off with a number. I'm going to play on my Freedom 3 over here. A couple quick announcements. First of all, next week, keep in mind, as time moves on, what I'm doing with the emails is because what I'm finding is I get emails from time to time, so I didn't get a notice for this, or my sign up for this one. What I've been doing is sending most people the emails for the class for that day. So like next Monday, for example, it's an SEA series, and it lists the models that's in there, and I try to keep informed on the dates. Even if you have a model that doesn't exist, you can always pick up a few things, so it's okay to attend those. But I'm getting the habit of just making sure that you get it every day that we have something, and then it's up to you if you want to join or not, okay? Also, the other thing I want you to keep in mind is last week, Joni said that if I didn't tell him that our gift shops were open after this class, that I would be in big trouble. So we do have our gift shops open, but last week we made a huge announcement, and since that announcement, we have made very many happy customers. We have two things. We have one of our largest liquidation sales that we've ever had in our history, and two, we got really lucky and purchased a small handful of units from a dealer that basically offered to us at a price point that John could not pass up. And we've sold many of those units, but what I have to tell you, that sale ends on the 19th. So if you've been thinking about your next model, pick up the phone and call your PA and say, tell me more. And don't be surprised if you hear from them, because I always tell them, you better let your students know. You got to take care of them. So keep that in mind. And last but not least, tomorrow at Friday, Sean Maloney, who a lot of you know because he's always behind the scenes helping out with this screen sharing stuff. Some of you seen him play a song at a concert or did a couple songs with someone else, but he hasn't had a full-fledged Zoom musical. And tomorrow, he has been preparing on this all week long, and he promises a great show, and he's going to do great. He started with us about 7 years ago or so with guitar background mainly, and started playing the keys for the first time, really. And in the short time that he's been with us, he has been a huge addition and asset to Fletcher Music Centers. As you all know, not only does he know the technical side, he knows the products, and he knows his stuff. And musically, he's got a whole totally different set of songs that you normally wouldn't hear in in most from the concerts. That's what I love about all our team members. You have so many different styles of players out there. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to finish up with a number over here on my Freedom 3. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to use the song setup, and then let's see, song setup. I'm going to mute that there, keep hearing the background noise. And I'll allow everybody to mute themselves right when I'm done. What song setup should I do? Song setup. And let me do some, let's see. What did I do yesterday, Joni? Do you remember? I don't remember.
I do not.
I was going to try to do a different one in case someone else was on yesterday, but I'll probably run into it when I see it here. Let's see. Oh, this ought to be interesting. I didn't know the song setup was in this model here. Here we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The song setup, by the way, I used was actually Hokey Pokey.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was in there. It gave us a really fun style. And then I reached up and used a harmony, and then I played Marianne with it. So for those of you who still like playing Marianne, Hokey Pokey song setup will work perfect for that. Yeah, gotta have some fun.
Thank you.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you learned something. And keep an eye on the emails for the upcoming other stuff that's happening. And so I'm going to say, stay safe, keep playing music, and mwah.
Thank you, Robert.
You guys.
Robert.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, Robert.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Get an A plus.
No, I mean, you said unmute yourself. Enjoy everyone. I bet she was pretty.